the slides, so it's good to have.
Okay. So now we are waiting for a couple of minutes and then we can start. Then I'll explain them first how to to make sure that they have registered to SciVal and be able to log into SciVal before we start.
Okay. Sure, I will follow your lead. And okay. To everyone, I will try to speak slowly and understand.
Because Apinya sent them an email yesterday about how to do the registration to SciVal, and she has shared the master list for each faculty to the representative of each faculty and to the staff from the central divisions as well.
Fantastic. Let's take it step by step and see how it goes. Yeah.
น้องขวัญวันนี้จะมีคนเข้ากี่คนคะเราได้รู้ว่าต้องรอถึง
73ค่ะอาจารย์ตอนนี้เราประมาณที่ล็อกอินได้ค่ะประมาณ20ท่านแล้วค่ะ
ในระหว่างรอนะคะทุกท่านเพื่อไม่เป็นการเสียเวลานะคะเดี๋ยวขออธิบายนิดนึงก่อนนะคะเมื่อวานน้องขวัญได้แชร์ได้ส่งอีเมลหาทุกท่านนะคะในการที่จะregister นะคะในการเข้าใช้ SciVal ซึ่งในการเข้าใช้ SciVal เนี่ยจะต้องเป็น IP address ของ PSU เท่านั้นนั่นแปลว่าถ้าเราอยู่ที่ทำงานเราก็คือ www.scival.com ได้เลยแต่ว่าถ้าท่านทำงานที่บ้าน work from home จะต้องเข้าผ่าน VPN นะคะถึงจะเข้า SciVal ได้แล้วก็ถ้ายังไม่เคยใช้มาก่อนนะคะก็ต้อง register ผ่านอีเมลของ PSU นะคะถึงจะล็อกอินได้นะคะแล้วเดี๋ยวพอล็อกอินได้ปุ๊บนะคะน้องขวัญก็ได้แชร์ไปอีกอีเมลหนึ่งใช่ไหมคะน้องขวัญเมื่อวานก็คือได้แชร์เราเรียกว่าเป็น master list นะคะซึ่งจะเป็นรายชื่อของนักวิจัยของมหาวิทยาลัยซึ่งเราแยกตามคณะเพราะฉะนั้นเนี่ยทุกท่านที่มาจากคณะนะคะที่เป็นตัวแทนจากคณะเนี่ยจะได้รับการแชร์ใน fact sheet ที่เป็นคณะของตัวเองนะคะแปลว่าสุดท้ายแล้วเนี่ยท่านก็จะเห็นข้อมูลของคนทั้งคณะของท่านเองในแต่ละคณะนะคะซึ่งเราจะไม่ได้แชร์ทุกคณะให้กับทุกท่านเพราะว่าเราไม่อยากให้เดี๋ยวมันจะมีการแก้ไขได้อย่างเงี้ยค่ะเราไม่อยากจะให้มันเกิดการเมสซี่เนาะคือเราพยายามทำให้มันง่ายที่สุดนะคะแต่ว่าสำหรับท่านที่มาจากหน่วยงานกลางของมหาวิทยาลัยเนี่ยเราจะแชร์ภาพรวมของทั้งมหาวิทยาลัยให้ท่านซึ่งเป็นมาสเตอร์ลิสต์ใหญ่ของมหาวิทยาลัยเพราะฉะนั้นเวลาที่ส่วนกลางของมหาวิทยาลัยต้องการทำข้อมูลหรืออะไรก็ตามที่ต้องเห็นภาพของทั้งมหาวิทยาลัยเนี่ยท่านก็สามารถใช้ได้เลยจากที่เราแชร์ไปนะคะซึ่งเดี๋ยววันนี้นะคะท่านเรามีท่านวิทยากรนะคะก็คือคุณอเล็กซานเดอร์นะคะซึ่งเป็นวิทยากรของทางเอเชียนะคะซึ่งจะมาอธิบายการใช้งานวันนี้ก็จะเป็นในลักษณะของดีเทลนิดนึงนะคะเราเคยอบรมมาแล้วในกลุ่มของผู้บริหารซึ่งในกลุ่มผู้บริหารเนี่ยก็จะเป็นลักษณะที่ว่ามันใช้งานได้อย่างไรแต่ไม่ได้ลงลึกถึงไปว่าstep by step อะค่ะก็คือแค่ว่าเป็นภาพรวมว่ามันทำอะไรได้บ้างนะคะทีนี้โจทย์ก็จะมาจากผู้บริหารละเวลาที่สมมติว่าผู้บริหารอยากทราบข้อมูลหรืออะไรแบบนี้ค่ะผู้บริหารก็อาจจะให้พวกเราเนี่ยช่วยทำข้อมูลให้เพื่อนตรงนี้ก็จะเป็นหน้าที่ของทุกท่านและที่เป็นตัวแทนจากคณะนะคะแล้วก็จากส่วนกลางของมหาวิทยาลัยที่อาจจะต้องทำออกมาเป็นรีพอร์ต ให้ท่านผู้บริหารเหล่านี้นะคะทีนี้สำหรับในวันนี้เนี่ยเดี๋ยวตัวเองเนี่ยก็จะช่วยดูให้เผื่ออาจจะต้องช่วยแปลหรือช่วย translate ให้ในบางส่วนนะคะเพราะฉะนั้นวันนี้เราจะเป็นลักษณะของเวิร์กช็อปเพราะฉะนั้นถ้าใครไม่ทันนะคะสมมติว่าแบบหาไม่เจอซึ่งมันเกิดขึ้นได้ปกติเราจะทำเทรนนิ่งกันแบบออนไซต์นะคะซึ่งมันจะง่ายเวลาที่สมมติถ้ามีคนตามไม่ทันก็ยกมือแล้วเรียกกันได้เลยค่ะแต่ว่าพอเป็นออนไลน์ทุกท่านก็ต้องแจ้งเลยนิดนึงนะคะถ้าเกิดแบบหลุดไปเพราะฉะนั้นเดี๋ยวมันก็จะไม่ทันมันก็จะตามไม่ทันอะไรเงี้ยค่ะเพราะฉะนั้นสามารถแจ้งได้เลยเราจะได้หยุดแล้วก็อาจจะได้ช่วยกันดูว่ามันยังไงนะคะบางทีมันหายากจริงๆปุ่มมันเยอะไปออปชันมันเยอะอะไรอย่างเงี้ยค่ะมันอาจจะหลุดได้นะคะวันนี้ตอนนี้กี่คนแล้ว56นะคะเดี๋ยวเราจะเริ่มเลยไหมน้องขวัญหรือว่าเราจะต้องรออีกนิดนึงหลักๆมากันครบแล้วไหมคะ
รอให้ทุกท่านลงทะเบียนอีกนิดนึง
ในระหว่างนี้นะคะท่านที่มาแล้วนะคะท่านลงทะเบียนรอท่านเข้าไปใน SciVal รอเลยนะคะแล้วเดี๋ยวเราก็จะได้แล้วก็ที่น้องขวัญแชร์ไปต้องกด activate ไหมคะน้องขวัญหรือว่าไม่ต้องทำอะไร
ค่ะต้องกด activate ค่ะรบกวนทุกท่านคืออี
เช็ค
เม
อี
ล
เม
เข้ามา
ลค่ะ
อันนี้มันเป็นอีเมลจาก SciVal นะคะค่ะแล้วก็รบกวนทุกท่านให้ไปกด activate ในตามลิงก์นั้นนะคะใช่
โอเคเพราะฉะนั้นทุกท่านจะต้องกด activate จากอีเมลของ SciVal นะคะมันจะมีปุ่มที่เขียนว่า activate เพราะฉะนั้นเราต้องกด activate ก่อนเราถึงจะเห็นข้อมูลของคณะเราได้ถูกไหมคะน้องขวัญอย่างนั้นเนาะ
ค่ะใช่ค่ะ
ค่ะ Alexander it just explained the participants how to register to SciVal and to activate the share fact file that Apinya has shared to everyone yesterday.
Fantastic.
Okay.
So Clairung, how would you like to proceed with the training? Do you want everyone to try and log in?
Yeah,
now
I think everyone should try to log in first. Maybe
okay.
A couple of minutes, waiting for
Sure.
them to. Maybe some of them haven't checked the email yesterday, and maybe they checked this morning.
Sure.
Like that.
So while they're doing that, maybe I can
show. You can start.
I can show them. To log in, you go to www.scival.com, right? And you get to like a landing page like this. And you have two buttons, check access and sign in. And you should just need to follow the instructions there, right? So there are different ways to log in. It will ask you to link your email and create a username for yourself. And you have to do this within the IP at range of PSU. So if you're working at home, means I think you have to be logged in via the into the network of PSU so that you're in the IP range. Once you've done that the first time, then logging in the future is very easy. It will just know which login you have used, and so here it says I have standard employee access, so it's going to authenticate that, and then I should be in SciVal. And I think as Clairung explained, everyone will have received an email with a link that will give access to your faculty data. By default, SciVal has a lot of data, but some customizations can be created manually and shared. So we worked with Apinya at RDO and with Clairung to create the organizational structure of Prince of Songkla, so the faculties and departments and so forth. And those have been shared with you, but you need to go to the email to find the email that says you know, this faculty has been shared with you. You open the email, there's a link. If you click on that link, it will bring you to SciVal. You must log in. And once you do that, you'll have access to the faculty data. I will explain several times how the faculty data works, so don't worry. But you can always find it in My SciVal. And if you go to researchers and groups, you will see this is the complete faculty data. So you could, for example, say there's different categories. You can see things that you created yourself, or you can see things that were shared with you. In this case, the entities were shared with you. I have some duplicates. That's because we created, that's just some work that we did, but trust me, we've shared the correct ones with you. If you have problems logging in, let us know. I guess you could do it in the chat. So if there's a specific problem, or if you have a question, just ask us. We'll give it a couple minutes. I think before I go live into SciVal, I will give an introduction that's based on some slides. Because my Thai is very poor, even though I visited Thailand. I spent more than 250 days in Thailand in the last 10 years working at universities in Thailand, mostly talking about SciVal. But still, my Thai is very poor. I speak English. Klai Rung, I think, will translate some parts. She will add her own thoughts in Thai. So I will speak slowly, and then I will pause, and Klai Rung, you can fill in anything that you want to. I think we agreed to do it that way.
Okay.
But just let me know when you think we should start, Klai Rung.
Okay, let me explain more a little bit to the participants. โอเคนะคะสำหรับทุกท่านนะคะที่เข้ามาแล้วนะคะหรือเพิ่งเข้ามานะคะตอนนี้เดี๋ยวเราจะมีการอบรมวิธีการใช้งาน SciVal นะคะซึ่งจริงๆหลายๆท่านที่อยู่กับหน่วยวิจัยของคณะมาอย่างยาวนานก็จะต้องเคยได้รับการอบรมมาแล้วเมื่อสัก5 ปีที่แล้วนะคะซึ่งเราเคยsubscribe to SciVal เนี่ยมาแล้วครั้งหนึ่ง1 ปีตอนนั้นนะคะ5 ปีที่แล้วซึ่งมา5 ปีตอนนี้ค่ะเราก็เพิ่งจะ subscribe ใหม่ไปอีกนะคะเพราะฉะนั้นเราได้งบประมาณนะคะผ่านทางโครงการ Reventing University มานะคะซึ่งตรงนี้ทางท่านรองตะเกิงนะคะเป็นคนที่จัดหาโปรแกรม SciVal ตัวนี้มาให้นะคะซึ่งจะเป็นประโยชน์จริงๆแล้วในแง่ของวิจัยเป็นหลักเลยนะคะเพราะว่าเป็นตัวฐานข้อมูลที่จะเก็บข้อมูลเกี่ยวกับเรื่องของงานวิจัยนะคะที่อยู่ใน Scopus ทั้งหมดเพราะฉะนั้นเราจะใช้ตัวนี้เป็นเครื่องมือในการที่จะเขาเรียกอะไรวิเคราะห์ข้อมูลนะคะทั้งเป็นรายบุคคลรายภาควิชาหรือรายคณะหรือภาพรวมของมหาวิทยาลัยได้หมดเลยนะคะเพราะฉะนั้นตรงนี้เนี่ยอยากให้ทุกคณะเนี่ยใช้โปรแกรมนี้ให้เป็นประโยชน์เราซื้อมาก็แพงใช้ได้อยู่นะคะเพราะฉะนั้นเนี่ยเราใช้เป็นประโยชน์แล้วก็มันจะประหยัดเวลาเราในแง่ของการที่ว่าแทนที่จะไปนั่งทำแบบแมนนวลจาก Scopus อย่างเงี้ยค่ะเราก็จะใช้ตัวนี้ซึ่งค่อนข้างที่จะให้ข้อมูลเราได้ในหลายมิติแบบที่เราอยากทราบนะคะเพราะฉะนั้นเนี่ยเดี๋ยวทุกท่านเนี่ยล็อกอินเข้าไปใน SciVal ก่อนนะคะแล้วก็ทุกท่านก็จะมีเมื่อวานน้องขวัญก็ได้แชร์นะคะเป็นข้อมูลของนักวิจัยในแต่ละคณะเนี่ยไปให้กับตัวแทนในแต่ละคณะนะคะเพราะฉะนั้นถ้าใครที่มาจากคณะเราก็จะได้ไฟล์ที่แชร์ของคณะเราเองมานะคะสำหรับใครที่มาจากส่วนกลางก็จะได้เห็นทั้งภาพรวมของมหาวิทยาลัยนะคะซึ่งตรงนี้เนี่ยเดี๋ยวตอนที่เราอบรมเนี่ยพอท่านเข้าไปดูเนี่ยท่านก็เห็นรายชื่อนักวิจัยซึ่งต้องบอกก่อนว่ารายชื่อที่เราได้มาเนี่ยเราได้มาจากกองนโยบายนะคะเพราะฉะนั้นเนี่ยมันอาจจะไม่ตรงกับสิ่งที่มันอยู่บน Scopus ต้องเข้าใจอย่างนี้ค่ะเพราะว่าชื่อที่เราเห็นใน SciVal เนี่ยนะคะมันจะเป็นชื่อที่นักวิจัยเนี่ยเขาใช้เวลาที่ตีพิมพ์นะคะใน SciVal เพราะฉะนั้นสำหรับนักวิจัยบางคนของคณะที่ไม่เคยตีพิมพ์ พูดผิดใน Scopus นะคะหมายถึงตีพิมพ์ใน Scopus ถ้าใครยังไม่ได้เคยตีพิมพ์ใน Scopus ก็อาจจะยังไม่มีชื่อตรงนี้นะคะเพราะฉะนั้นตรงนี้ต้องฝากเจ้าหน้าที่คณะนะคะผู้แทนจากคณะทุกท่านเลยในการที่จะไปเช็คว่าไฟล์ที่แชร์มาเนี่ยครบไม่ครบหรือถูกไม่ถูกมันมีโอกาสที่จะไม่ถูกแล้วก็ไม่ครบค่ะต้องบอกก่อนเลยนะคะเพราะฉะนั้นตรงนี้เราก็เลยต้องอาศัยตัวแทนคณะทุกท่านเป็นคนช่วยเช็คให้เราเพราะว่าทางสำนักวิจัยเองก็คงไม่สามารถที่จะไปรู้ได้ว่าณปัจจุบันเนี่ยคณะมีนักวิจัยกี่คนมีการตีพิมพ์ใน Scopus อยู่กี่คนหรืออะไรอย่างเงี้ยค่ะก็คือได้ระดับหนึ่งแต่ก็คือจะไม่ครบนะคะเพราะฉะนั้นเนี่ยอาจารย์เองก็มีการหมุนเวียนตลอดเวลานะคะเพราะฉะนั้นอยากให้คณะช่วยเช็คดีๆเลยเพื่อประโยชน์ของคณะเองเลยนะคะเพราะฉะนั้นตรงนี้เดี๋ยวสุดท้ายเนี่ยเราจะต้องใช้ผลตรงนี้ค่ะในการรีพอร์ตหน่วยงานต่างๆเวลาที่จะขอทุนหรืออะไรก็แล้วแต่เนี่ยนะคะจะต้องมีการดึงข้อมูลจาก SciVal ออกมานะคะสำหรับเดี๋ยวเราคิดว่าเราเริ่มเลยดีกว่านะคะไม่ให้เป็นการเสียเวลาเดี๋ยวคุณอเล็กซานเดอร์ก็จะอธิบายนะคะว่ามันใช้งานได้อย่างไรในมุมของเราที่ต้องเป็นคนทำข้อมูลอย่างเงี้ยค่ะว่าเราจะใช้ข้อมูลตรงนี้ได้อย่างไรบ้างนะคะ Alexander if you're ready you can start now I think
Okay, thank you for the introduction and for having me today, and good morning from Singapore. I'm sad that I cannot visit in person yet, but it's quite efficient to do it by Zoom, yeah. So today's training is about SciVal. It's a tool for research analytics, and I understand that many of you are administrators, although I heard there's also maybe the Department of International Affairs is here. So I will try to present to you what SciVal is and how you can use it. It may look like a difficult tool, but once you find the information that's relevant to you and your job, it should make things easier and provide a lot of really interesting information about research performance. So I will present today and leave some gaps. So Klarung, anytime you want to clarify anything, I'll leave a long gap, and then if you say no, please continue, then just say please continue. And otherwise, I'll continue once you finish. But I think we already talked about access, so I'll stick to making an introduction. And I will focus a lot of today to do live, show you the different features in SciVal, how you can find information relevant to you, not only about PSU, but about the faculties and maybe, things about Thailand, other countries, other universities, and so forth. And please feel free to ask questions. So maybe the best way to do it is, ask a question in the chat box, or at the end, feel free to take yourself off mute and ask a question. English, Thai, doesn't matter. We will do our best to answer. So SciVal is a web-based tool for research analytics. So it provides research metrics for over 20,000 institutions, so universities, research institutions, government organizations, and also industry. So if there's a company that's producing research, that will also be reflected in SciVal. You can look at the level of a university, but also the level of a faculty, a department, an individual researcher, but also a country, a group of countries, or looking at the whole world, for example. And we have 4 different modules, which are kind of 4 different ways of looking at the data. And we will look at those in a bit of detail later. The key kind of context of SciVal is evidence-based policymaking and evaluation. Every country and every university is investing resources into doing scientific research. And every country, every university, every faculty has a strategy in terms of what they would like to focus on and what they would like to achieve. In order to make a strategy, it helps to have access to some quantitative data to guide the way, to combine this with the human understanding of the field, to combine the human understanding with some quantitative data. SciVal specifically can help with strategic planning in terms of understanding the strengths and weaknesses in terms of research for a university or a faculty or a department. benchmarking, so to compare the research performance of a faculty compared to other faculties or a university compared to other universities, because performance is rarely absolute. It's often relative compared to others, right? SciVal can help to set and measure key performance indicators. SciVal can help to understand the collaboration networks and which collaborations are leading to highly cited research, not only at your own university, but also at other universities, or which are the groups of universities that are working together to produce very prominent or highly cited research. SciVal can support talent recruitment and retention by identifying the top researchers in the whole world in particular research topics, or understanding the research performance of, for example, the researchers at PSU. Data from SciVal has also been used by researchers to support grant applications by showing their expertise in a specific area and using it to say to the funding body, my department are very, very strong in this particular type of research. You can see it in this objective data. You should give the money to us, right? So it can be part of a grant application. So I will pause there. And Clarunga, is there anything at this point you wish to clarify?
No, I think you can continue.
Thank you. Am I speaking slow enough?
It's okay. You're okay.
Okay, good. SciVal can be used by different people at the university, and typically the data is very, very interesting for a vice president of research or a deputy vice chancellor of research, depending on what the title is. But the people responsible for the top level strategy of the university, and typically there are an administrative group of people who are producing reports to go to the vice president and other policymakers, but also for faculties and departments. SciVal can look at the whole university, but SciVal can also look at your faculty or your department. So it becomes very interesting for the dean or the deputy dean of research, and for the administrative staff at a faculty level, it can be very useful to pull reports from SciVal. Lastly, SciVal can also be used by faculty and researchers to understand the research landscape. So it can really be interesting for different people, used in a slightly different way. I think for a Department of International Affairs, SciVal can show exactly which universities Prince of Songkhla is collaborating with, and in terms of that network, which subject areas are being published in and what the highly cited research is, but also could give insight into different universities. So if you wanted to know who Chulalongkorn collaborates with in oncology research, you could see that quite easily, right? So that's something. Also, international affairs, I think if you have a partnership or an MOU with a different university, you could do it that way. I've met some universities who used SciVal to shortlist candidates for MOU. So if they said, well, we want to have an MOU with a university that is expert in a particular field, they could use SciVal to identify some candidates. I am a consultant, so I help policymakers, administrators, researchers, everyone, to use this type of information to help you do whatever you do, right? So my help is included in the subscription. There's no additional cost for that. So Klairung and Apinya can ask me, Alexander, please come and give a training, and we will set up a training. If someone has something very specific and they said, I don't want to come into a big training with everyone, but if there's you know, a dean or deputy dean that says, I would like to speak to you about our faculty specifically, I'm happy to join a meeting and help a specific group of people look at how they can use SciVal. But at first, we're starting here at the top level just to, you know, in general, talk about SciVal. We have done an introduction for the management team, the executives, and we have worked with Clarung and Apinya to import the organizational structure of Prince of Songkla into SciVal. And we have shared the relevant parts of that structure with each of you. And then today we are training you how to use SciVal, how to access your faculty data. And in future, we may like to focus on researchers, but let's start with administrators and everyone who's here today. Some facts, so I don't want to bore you with technical aspects, but must realize SciVal is based largely on Scopus, but it also includes some funding data, patent data, and news data. Scopus is a great source for SciVal because it's very comprehensive. It covers over 80 million documents, you know, peer-reviewed documents. It's curated. It's very difficult to get your journal into Scopus, but there are now over 70 Thai journals in Scopus. The content comes from 7,000 publishers, includes peer-reviewed journals, conferences, books, both book series and standalone books. Books are very focused on social sciences, arts, and humanities. Conferences are very focused on engineering and computer sciences. But overall, the content is very, covers all of the major subject areas, also including social sciences, have more than 11,000 titles covering social sciences. Scopus is the exclusive provider of publication and citation data to Times Higher Education and QS World University Rankings. So when you look at the data in SciVal, you're looking at the same data that is underlying a part of the ranking exercise. Okay, we covered logging into SciVal. So if you are stuck, let us know. If you don't let us know, we assume that you've managed to log in, and that's good. I'm actually going to pause now and see if there are questions, see if Clarung has anything you want to add. And then after we do that, I will go into SciVal and show you step by step the key things that you can do.
Okay. สำหรับเมื่อกี้นะคะที่จะเพิ่มนิดนึงก็คือว่าถ้าเกิดว่าจากวันนี้ไปสมมติว่าเราอบรมกันแล้วเนี่ยค่ะมีคณะไหนที่อยากจะให้มีการเทรนนะคะสำหรับคณะโดยเฉพาะเนี่ยสามารถแจ้งทางเรามาได้เลยนะคะเพราะคุณอเล็กซานเดอร์เขาก็จะมาอบรมให้นะคะเป็นกลุ่มย่อยได้เหมือนกันนะคะซึ่งเราเคยทำกันมาก่อนก็คืออบรมภายในคณะซึ่งอาจจะประกอบไปด้วยกลุ่มคนที่มากกว่าแค่เจ้าหน้าที่วิจัยนะคะซึ่งอันนี้ก็แล้วแต่คณะที่จะตกลงกันว่าจะให้มีการอบรมหรือไม่ซึ่งแจ้งมาได้นะคะสำหรับการล็อกอินนะคะไม่ทราบว่าท่านใดมีปัญหาอะไรไหมคะว่าไม่สามารถล็อกอินได้น้องขวัญเช็คได้หรือเปล่าคะมีใครมีปัญหาในเรื่องของการล็อกอินมีไหมคะ
ใครที่ยังล็อกอินไม่ได้รบกวนกด2มาก็ได้ค่ะขอบคุณค่ะถ้าใครกดก็แอดซูมว่าได้ทุกท่านแล้วนะคะค่ะ
น่าจะได้ไหม
แจ้งมาค่ะอาจารย์น่าจะ
Okay I think we are okay Alexander
Okay, fantastic. I will continue, but at any point, of course, people can just interrupt and ask questions. We really want you to be able to access SciVal and your faculty data. So I'm going to jump to SciVal. Clarung, can you see SciVal now on your screen? Good. So when you log in, you'll see a screen similar to this. You won't see grants, that's only mine, but you'll see overview, benchmarking, collaboration trends. There's some interesting information here at the bottom, some webinars that you can watch, quick guides. So there are always some updates that you can find at the bottom of this page. And my SciVal is where you go to customize things. Okay, so when you go to my SciVal, you should, on the left menu, if you select the little person icon here, if you select researchers and groups, you should see the faculty that was shared with you. Some of the faculties have departments in them, right? So you would see faculty of dentistry, for example, the Department of Conservative Dentistry, and then you see the people that are assigned to the department, and the department is assigned to the faculty. These faculties have been created based on information that was provided to us. So Clarung and myself uploaded this into SciVal. It can be modified. So if there are researchers missing, they can be added. If there is a researcher in the wrong place, they can be moved to the correct place. Clarung, maybe you want to clarify, what should they do if they see a missing researcher, or if they see something that's incorrect? What would be the process for this?
ตรงนี้นะคะตรงนี้ค่ะที่อยากจะให้คณะเช็คนะคะก็คือว่าจากที่แชร์ไปเนี่ยนะคะเราก็จะเห็น faculty ของเราแล้วสำหรับคณะนะคะเราก็จะมีคณะซึ่งขึ้นอยู่กับโครงสร้างของคณะนะคะบางคณะเนี่ยพอ faculty เสร็จก็จะเป็น researcher เลยนะคะบางคณะก็จะแบ่งเป็น division บางคณะเป็น department อันนี้แล้วแต่โครงสร้างของคณะซึ่งอันนี้เราได้มาจากกองนโยบายต้องบอกนี้ก่อนนะคะทีนี้ก็เลยอยากให้ทุกท่านช่วยเช็คนิดนึงค่ะว่าที่ท่านเห็นอยู่ณขณะนี้เนี่ยมันถูกหรือไม่นะคะโดยเฉพาะรายชื่อของนักวิจัยในแต่ละพาร์ทของคณะของท่านนะคะซึ่งถ้าไม่ถูกยังไงเนี่ยต้องแจ้งทางน้องขวัญใช่ไหมคะน้องขวัญแจ้งหน่อย
ค่ะใช่ค่ะใครจะเพิ่มเติมหรือว่าอะไรยังไงหลังจากนี้รบกวนอีเมลหาขวัญได้เลยนะคะเพราะขวัญจะได้edit ทั้งใน SciVal แล้วก็ใน PubWord ด้วยค่ะ
ค่ะนะคะเดี๋ยวอันนี้ดูกันไปก่อนนะคะยังไม่ถูกตอนนี้ไม่เป็นไรดูกระบวนการกันไปก่อนว่ามันสามารถทำอะไรได้บ้างนะคะหลังจากจบอันนี้ปุ๊บทุกท่านไปเช็คแล้วนะคะถ้าไม่ถูกก็อีเมลหาน้องขวัญได้เลยค่ะโอเค I finish
Okay, so that's how you access it, and you can create your own groups by creating researchers and grouping them, but the advantage of having shared groups is that everyone has access to the same thing, right? And that's good because it means you will have access to the same data that the research office is using to prepare a report for the top management, right? For each group, right, for example, the Faculty of Dentistry, I have some buttons here. So if I press on this one, it represents share, and I look currently shared with, you can see that the owner is Apiña. I, at the moment, have access just because I helped to create them, but I'm sure that Apiña will kick me out eventually. But you can see that all of these people have access now, and they have the permission to view the data, but not to edit the data. So that's how kind of you can see very clearly Clarung has access and she can edit the data. So that's kind of how it works. You can always click through and see who has access to what and who is able to change it and who and so forth. So that's a starting point. But I'd like to take you back to the landing page of SciVal. And I'm going to run you through the 4 modules in order. And I will start with overview. So overview is a dashboard of research performance. So you can look at one entity at a time, and it's like a dashboard. So you can look at a university or a country or a person. Right now I'm looking at PSU, and I will run you through some of these statistics. But realize that if you wanted to look at a different university, you go to the bottom, add new, and you start to type in the name. So if you think, well, I really wanted to look at University Malaya in Malaysia, you type in Malaya, and it will suggest to you names, and you can just click on University of Malaya, and it will switch to Malaya. Or if I wanted to know, you know, what type of research does Samsung do, I just type in Samsung, and it will find the profile of Samsung, right? And as you find more institutions, it will list them here. But there are so many, there are like 20,000 institutions, right? So the list would be very long. But let's focus on Prince of Songkla. You can see here, this is on the left, institutions and groups. But I could also look at researchers and groups. So here's where you would view your faculty data, as well as for individual researchers. Here, countries and regions means that we can look at any country and region. So if we want to look at the level of Thailand, we can look at Thailand as a country, but you can even look at Asia Pacific or ASEAN or the whole world if you want to get a really big view of research. If you look at Thailand level, obviously you're looking at the research performance of Thailand, and you could look at the list of institutions that we have in SciVal for Thailand. So you can see Prince of Songkla is the sixth largest producer of research, at least of papers that are published in Scopus. And the list of Thai institutions in SciVal is 99. I feel like we should add one more so that it's 100, but okay, so that's there. You have sectors, right? So if you wanted to know which corporates are covered in Thailand, we have these corporate entities but I'll go back to PSU. Now, you can choose between a 3-year period, a 5-year period, and a 10-year period. Each period can be limited to a slightly different, you know, here's 2018 to 2020, or including 21, or including 22. This window moves up 1 year every year, and it moves in May or June. It does the jump forward. I personally like a 5-year period because it matches the university rankings. Secondly, you have a subject filter here. These are 27 main subject areas and 333 disciplines. So everywhere where you have a triangle, if you click on it, you will see the disciplines. So for example, if I'm active in dentistry, but I want to focus on oral surgery, I could select oral surgery here. That subject classification is known as ASJC. It's the same one used in Scopus. We have different classifications that you can use if you wish. You can switch to the fields of research and development used by OECD. You can use also the subject areas used in QS World University Rankings or Times Higher World University Rankings. So it's whatever your preference is. Just make sure that if you are comparing your results to someone else's results, that you're using the same subject classification. Otherwise, it will lead to confusion. Some key indicators. Based on this period, PSU produced 7,920 papers. They were cited 51,720 times. And this indicator here, field-weighted citation impact, shows that that is 11% less citations than world average. Field-weighted citation impact is a metric where the world average citation level always equals 1.00. So 0.89 is 11% less citations than world average. So it makes it very easy to understand your citation level. Everywhere in SciVal, where you find something interesting, you can add it to a report or you can export it. So if you export, you can export to CSV or Excel, and it will export these numbers into an Excel sheet. Or I can add it to reporting to make a report. So if I said this one, I want this basic report here, I can add it to a report. I'm going to call the new report report for Clarung, right? So now I've added one element, and I might say, all right, I would like to see which subject areas are the biggest. So you can see clearly almost 14% of the papers published by PSU are published in journals considered to be medicine. So I might add that to a report here. So it says already report for Clarung. We see here topic clusters and topics. So this is looking at very specific areas that Prince of Songkla publishes in, and I will show you that later. I think a key thing that you might want to look at is you have a menu here, and if you go to published, you will see the trend of number of papers. So you can see this, and if I want to add it to reporting, again, I just press add to reporting. Citation percentile, this is the percentage of papers that are very highly cited, belonging to 10% or 1% most highest cited papers in the world, right? So we see PSU grew very quickly, and that also the percentage of highly cited papers is going up. Publication in top journal percentile is how much do we publish in top percentiles. You can choose site score, SNP, or SJR, depending on your preference. If you look here, you can look by journal quartile. So here we see that PSU publish 35% of the papers in Q1, 30 in Q2, 22 in Q3, 12 in Q4. That also can choose site score, SNP, or SJR. So if your preference is SJR, you can switch to SJR. You can export this data here. You can add it to a report quite easily. You can apply a subject filter. So if you said, I want to know in medicine how much we publish in which quartile. So that's quite straightforward. Again, the subject filter is always there. By subject area is also, I think, very valuable. You can see the biggest subject area for PSU is medicine, then agriculture, engineering, biochemistry. Again, everywhere where you have a triangle, you can press like this and you'll see the disciplines. So you can see, for example, PSU is very highly cited in cardiology and cardiovascular medicine, 65 papers that were cited, 50% more than world average. And psychiatry and mental health, 60 papers that were cited, 2 times world average. So you can start to uncover, even within a subject area, strengths and weaknesses. If you want to use a visualization, you can, for example, here see that agricultural and biological sciences is cited more than world average, as well as environmental science, energy, economics, arts and humanities. That's really nice, 1.6 times world average. By SDG, by the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. So if you wanted to understand PSU's performance broken down by the SDGs, you can see that here. And if you want to see which journals you publish in most, I think that's here. A very high level view of collaboration. So we can see that, for example, PSU is published almost 40% of its papers have at least one international author, and they are the most highly cited. So the international papers are cited 27% more than world average. And let me explain these. So single author means just one person. So it means person from PSU. Institutional means more than one person, everyone from PSU. National means more than one person, at least one person from other university, but everyone from Thailand. International means at least one person on the paper is not in Thailand. So very simple. And you can see the single authored papers are cited the least and the international ones the most. Collaboration with industry. 100 papers were collaborated with at least one author from industry. They were very highly cited, 33 citations per paper, 4.5, 4 times world average. Again, if any of this interests you for your report, you can save it here, right? Add to reporting, add to reporting. You can see a little list here of, the top collaboration partners, but I'll show more of that later. Authors is a simple list of the top 500 authors. In this case, this is the whole university. Now, I've shown you some key things that you can do for Prince of Songkhla in overview as a dashboard. But if you want to look at your faculty, you go here, you type in the name of your faculty, right? So let's say I'm the faculty of agro-industry. Now I am looking at the data for faculty of agro-industry based on grouping together 43 researchers. Now, this is a very important point right now to make. So everyone, please pay attention. This filter will ensure that you only include papers by Prince of Songkhla. If this filter is off, it will include papers that these researchers produced at other universities. For example, someone work at Chulalongkorn and they move to Prince of Songkhla. They may have papers from Chulalongkorn. You will include those papers if you leave the filter like this. If you turn the filter on, it will only include the papers that those researchers have written while at Prince of Songkhla. So this filter is a very important thing to keep in mind and use it how you wish.
Alexander,
yeah.
So here it means that it should be orange.
Yeah. If you want to include only PSU paper, then must be orange. If
Okay.
it's gray, then it includes all papers.
Okay, let me explain this. ตรงนี้นะคะสำหรับคณะนะคะเวลาที่มีการดึงข้อมูลว่าอาจารย์ของคณะเราเนี่ยตีพิมพ์กี่ฉบับนะคะซึ่งโดยความหมายก็คือเราต้องการเปเปอร์ที่มี affiliation เนี่ยเป็น Prince of Songkhla University ถูกไหมคะเพราะฉะนั้นเนี่ยตรงนี้ทุกท่านต้องอย่าลืมว่าต้องทำให้มันเป็นสีส้มนะคะเพราะว่าแปลว่ามันจะจำกัดอยู่เฉพาะ PSU มันจะไม่รวมถึงเปเปอร์ที่สมมุติว่าเขาเคยทำงานที่อื่นมาก่อนแล้วทีนี้ถ้าเกิดเราตรงนี้ไม่เป็นสีส้มเนี่ยมันก็จะรวมเปเปอร์อื่นๆที่ไม่ได้มี PSU มาด้วยอย่างเงี้ยซึ่งมันไม่ใช่จุดประสงค์ของเราเวลาที่เราดึงข้อมูลนะคะเพราะฉะนั้นตรงนี้ต้องระวังนิดนึงค่ะเวลาที่ทุกท่านทำข้อมูลนะคะตรงนี้ให้เปลี่ยนเป็นสีส้มก่อนนะคะเพื่อที่จะบอกว่าเอาเฉพาะเปเปอร์ที่มี PSU เป็น affiliation อยู่นะคะโอเค I'm okay.
Okay, so now that we've turned the filter on, I can see that based on 40 researchers, and you see here 44, it's only 40 here because some of them apparently did not produce research while they were at PSU. So you can see when I turn the filter on, it goes from 43 to 40. So it means that 3 of them maybe did not publish yet at PSU, and that's fine. That's not a problem. So now we really be able to look at one faculty, and I'll try to talk about this faculty, right? So I see 747 papers, 7,000 citations. So you say, is that a lot? Is it many citations? And the answer is yes. It's 23% more citations than world average. And they publish a lot in journals related to agricultural, biological sciences, biochemistry, immunology, and so forth. what topics do they publish in? So you can go to the topics and you can see that they publish in topics. So this wheel represents the 27 traditional subject areas, right? Like medicine, pharmacology, health, dentistry, arts, humanities, psychology, social sciences, business, computer, math, physics, chemistry, material science, engineering, energy, environmental science, earth, agriculture, biological sciences. So you can see that this faculty is very focused on this side of that circle and is publishing in some big areas and in some small areas. You can either click on them and explore them, or you could view them in a table. And here we see when the Faculty of Agroindustry publishes in an area related to antioxidants, they publish 50 papers that are cited 1.4 times world average. Each topic has a prominence level. A high prominence level means that the topic has a lot of momentum. You can consider it a hot topic, and you can filter by topics if you want to look at only the 5% most prominent topics, for example. But you can see here that this faculty is very highly cited in some topics and not very highly cited in some others, right? So when this faculty published in fish sauce and fermentation for unami, maybe it's a great topic, but it's not very highly cited. And that could be interesting to look at for the faculty. Any topic that you're interested in, you could look either at this faculty. So if I press here, it will show me antioxidants, 50 papers at this faculty related to, these terms here. And you can always link through to the papers, right? So if you want to get access to the underlying papers, you can always click through to the papers. You can save it as a publication set. You can export it as an Excel sheet, all of these things. But if we wish to understand this topic globally, like in the whole world, I could click here and it will bring me to a different module. So you can see here at the top, the line is now under the trends module. Trends shows you global information about very specific areas in science. So here we can see globally, the whole world in antioxidant research. You can see it's a small area, about 2,200 papers per year, but in a 5-year period, but growing. We can see that it's relatively highly cited, and you can see that it's a very prominent research topic in the world, and that it's related to antioxidants and hydrolysates and protein and so forth. These words are extracted from the abstracts. Now, why is this interesting? Because we can see who are the top universities in the whole world in this topic, and we see PSU is number 6 in the world. And that's really interesting, I think, because I think it indicates that PSU is quite focused on this topic relative to other universities in the world. You could also see, are there corporates that are publishing in this area? You can see actually there are a number of corporate entities, including a Dutch company called Friesland Campina, which is a food company. Or you can check if there are government organizations that are active in this area. You can see, if you use the filter here and go to like Thailand, can see PSU by far number 1 in Thailand in this area, right? So anytime that you find a specific topic that you're interested in, you could link from overview into trends to do this type of thing. Also authors, right? So if you want to know who are the top authors in Thailand related to antioxidant research, you can see your number 1 person is from PSU. And maybe this person is a very important person for PSU because he or she is really supporting this strength, this research strength. So you see some others also from PSU, but 45 papers by this person here, right? So that might be interesting for the faculty where this person works to look at, hey, if we want to remain, you know, the number one Thai institution and number 6 global institution in this area, that strength very much relies on this one individual who's very active in that area. So it's pretty easy to do this, but I believe that overview is a good place to start exploring for this. Now, topics, you can also use a subject filter. So if I said, well, I want to look at topics related to energy, and then you see like biofuel at the top. So you can use a subject filter. Again, anytime that you find something interesting, like let's say if we like this wheel, we can add it to reporting. Right. So everything else that I showed you, you can do for the faculty. So Faculty of Agro-Industry, #1 collaboration partner, Thaksin, Hokkaido, Japan Science and Technology. Collaboration with Hokkaido University is very highly cited. Research with Japan Science and Technology Agency is not very highly cited, and so forth. Publication trend, right? And citation percentile, journal percentiles, quartiles, right? So you can see the journal quartiles. So all this information is there. You just need to pick your faculty. If you are looking department level, you just need to type in department. So if we want to look at, for example, Department of Applied Sciences, then you can pick a department. So you don't have to look at faculty level, right? You can also look at department level. So again, if your faculty is divided into departments, you can look at each department individually as well. You always have the list of all the researchers here, right? And you can, again, add to reporting, or you can export it. So for any department, any faculty, you have the list of researchers, and you have a couple of metrics that you can choose from. Clarung, any comment before I move to benchmarking?
No, I don't have any comment.
Okay, thank you. So this is overview, and it's a great place to start exploring. You can look at one thing at a time. So you can either look at, you know, PSU, or you can look at the faculty or the department, or you can look at Thailand, right? So it's a great place to start exploring. Benchmarking is where you can do really specific comparisons. So if I wanted to compare PSU with Chiang Mai, Manchula, and let's say Thammasat University, I can compare multiple entities. And you can do this also for faculties, for people. You can do it either as a line chart or a chart with the numbers like this. You can go all the way back to 1996 and include the current year. So there you would see that, for example, this is the number of papers per year. And you can see that currently in 2022, PSUs published 346 papers already. And you can always click on the, if you click on this 346, it will open the paper. So we can see that these are the 346 papers that PSU has already published. There are many metrics that you can choose. So you can choose scholarly output, which is papers, but you can choose if you want to look at all types or only articles or articles and reviews, right? So if we want to look only at original research articles, we can do that. And let me just make this a bit simpler. And let's look at a very short period here. So if we want to look at only articles, you can do that. Citation, we have different types of citation metrics. So depending on what you want to look at, you might want to look at field-weighted citation impact. And that's always nice to look at it at charts. You can see that actually Chiang Mai went up. You can combine metrics. So if we said, I want to look at field-weighted citation impact as well as how much do we publish in quartile 1 journals as a percentage, you get like a scatter chart, and you can make a third metric be like the size of the bubble be, for example, number of papers. So now this axis represents quality, this one also quality, and the size of the bubble represent the number of papers. Now I'm doing this for university, so you can see Chula really kind of stands out at the moment. But if you add like Malaya, and if you add and certainly you could also look at this as a simple table. All of these, again, I can say, all right, I think this is interesting for my boss, so I'm going to add it to my report for Clayton. But I'm looking here at institutions, and if I go back to my SciVal, and I think this is interesting. So if we go to my SciVal and I go to researchers and groups, and I pick the faculty of, now let's pick one that has some departments. So let me just check that this is the new one. Yeah, so what I can do is I can pick this one and the departments like this, right? So I'm picking the Faculty of Science Technology and I'm picking the individual departments. I'm selecting them here. Now, if I go here to add to panel, I can replace existing sets and select and view only this set in benchmarking. Now, that exact same analysis that I was looking at before, I'm now looking at and I can unselect the faculty itself so that we're only looking at the departments. So here you see the Department of Science, Department of Rubber and Polymer. Now, I've picked some metrics that I was interested in, right? Papers, field-weighted citation impact, and the percentage of papers in quartile 1 journals. You can add as many metrics as you want. So if you said, I want to know how much they collaborate, you know, so what are the number of papers that they collaborated internationally, then we can add that. We can also do this for individual researchers. So if, for example, you wanted to benchmark the researchers in a department. So if I go back to no, that was not this one, sorry. Let's say I want to benchmark these people, right? You can just select them all like that. That's one department, and say at the panel, again, replace. So I want it to completely replace what I'm looking at in benchmarking currently. And if I do that, I can now benchmark all of these people according to the metrics that I've chosen. And you can easily change, you know, if I want to look here, I want to look at papers, including all publication types. And maybe here, sorry. And maybe here I want to look at the number of citations, and I can include or exclude self-citations, right? Maybe a citation count. And then maybe here I want to look at the field-weighted citation impact. Right, so whatever you want to do, you can always rank here. So I want the ones who publish the most at the top. And this then represents one department, the people working in one department within the Faculty of Science and Technology. So that would be how you select people. Again, so you can, in my SciVal, always find your whatever faculty structure has been shared with you. And if you select that, you can either select the faculty and departments themselves, or you can select the people within the faculty, add to panel, replace existing set, make sure that this is selected, and it will pull them in. And again, you can change your metrics to whatever you want to look at. You can change your years. So if you want to look at just 1 year or 5-year period, whatever you want to do, it's flexible. And you can, when you're happy with your report, you can add it to reporting, right? So just add it to your report. Now, the cool thing about this report is I've been adding stuff for the last hour to report. And I can see here, it says, if I go to the top to reporting, it says report for Clarung. And if I click on this, it now shows me all of these things that I've been saving. And I can move them around. So if I said, well, I want this one to be at the top, right? You can easily kind of shift the order around, or you can delete them. You say, well, you know, I'm not so interested in this one. I could just remove it. And you can very easily say, you know, report for you can fill in text here. Right. So if you say, well, I think the key points here, and you can rename any of these. So it could say, you can add text anywhere. Once you've done this, you can save it. You can share it. You can export it as a PDF or Excel. You can also share it in SciVal. So if I said I want Clarung to be able to I want Clarung to be able to access this report in SciVal, and then any changes I make to the report, Clarung will see the changes I made to the report, right? So you can do it that way. She will get the email. And the nice thing about this report is, let's say I come back 1 week from now, and I was thinking, ooh, I did very complex analysis a week ago, but it took me 20 minutes to do. you don't have to redo the analysis. You can open your report. And for example, if we go here, and it was like, oh yeah, I remember I selected these universities and I did something. If I click on this button here, it's going to bring me back to SciVal benchmarking, and it will open the exact analysis that I was doing. And I can change the analysis. I can do whatever I want. So anytime you do something quite complex in SciVal, it can be a good idea to save it as a report, because it means you don't need to redo your work. You can easily go back to it later. You can create multiple reports, and they will always sit here in this menu called reporting. So that's one thing to keep in mind, because I know that as administrators, you probably need to create certain reports, and you might be able to create some report templates here. There are some example templates that you can use here, but you can create your own template report and save it and share it. So that's one way to do it, but it's not the only way. If you prefer to export data like you see here to Excel, you can always just explore things to Excel. So benchmarking is really about comparing things, people, faculties, departments, universities, countries. You have all of these metrics that you can choose from. I'm not going to explain them all. You will be very angry with me, but in the top right, there's a question mark here. Research Metrics Guidebook. If you want to understand the metrics, that book explains each one of them in quite a lot of detail. Alternatively, we can have a separate workshop to look at what do the metrics mean and so forth. They're not that difficult. You just need to think about what they represent. Most of them are based on papers and citations, so it's quite common, I think. Klairung, before I go to collaboration, is there anything I missed here or comment that you want to add? You're muted.
Not yet.
Okay, all right.
Not yet.
So that's benchmarking. It's you need to know what you want to do when you go to benchmarking. So overview is very fun because you're looking at things. Oh, I want to look at that. I want to look at that and link to it. Benchmarking is not an easy place to explore. But if you know what you want, you pick, okay, I want to know this university and this one and this one. Or if I want to know my faculty compared to a different faculty, or the departments in my faculty. So you have to know what you want.
Alexander, I have a question.
Sure.
I always got a question like, how do we benchmark our faculty to other faculty from different universities, like Faculty of Science, BSU with Faculty of Science from Mahidol University? Can we do that?
You can do it, but we created your faculties using people. So you can create a faculty if you have the names of the people that work at Mahidol. That's one way. That's a difficult way because it's a lot of work. The I think shorter way to do it would be to kind of cheat a little bit, and we would export papers from Scopus. So we would and view other papers. Okay, so this is interesting. So if their faculty has an actual affiliation ID, then it's pretty easy. So the first thing to do is look at the university and see if it has an affiliation ID. So if there's like a faculty ID, then you can use that in SciVal. If there's not, you can always so here we see 15,000 papers that within Mahidol that use the word Faculty of Medicine in the affiliation, right? Oh, it's very slow. Sorry. Sorry, it's stuck. So I'm going to stop that. But so if you can, there's different searches you can do to isolate the papers of a particular faculty, and any search that you do in Scopus, you can export it into SciVal, and once it's in SciVal, you can use it to benchmark against your faculty. So it's a little bit of manual work needed. That's one way to do it. If the faculty has a separate ID like this, like a hospital, and many faculties do not have a separate ID. It's actually quite uncommon. If they do, you can find it in SciVal by creating a, you have to go to my SciVal. And in my SciVal, we go to create the research area, define new research area. You can use search string or entities. If I use entities, I can use institutions. If I search for Mahidol, I can see that they have different faculties. So let's say I wanted to benchmark your hospital against Siriraj Hospital. Siriraj Hospital has its own faculty. So we can drag that in and save it. And I'm just good to save it. And then once you've created that, you can use that in most of the places. So if we were benchmarking here, let me unselect all of this. Ooh, why is this? So I don't know why there's no papers, but you would find here in Siriraj Hospital. So the answer is you need to either use a search query to isolate the papers or find the profile, or if you have the names of the people that work at the faculty, you can import them in the same way that we did. So it is work. In some cases for strategy, it can be worth it, but it is some work to do it. I personally would use Scopus to do a kind of a search. So you can first go to the university, right? University is pretty easy. You go to affiliation. Let's pick Chula instead. So go Chulalongkorn. You know, you view all the papers. So if you press on all documents, now if I search within, there's an operator I can use called affil, and then if I search for the name of the faculty, it doesn't need to be exact name. So if I said affil faculty of what was that one called? Let's just call it medicine. Search. Oh, sorry. It always happens. Yeah, it should work, but oh, I don't have a, it didn't. Yeah, try it out. Right, so I find 9,565 documents that have, say, Faculty of Medicine in Chula, and then if you just select them all and export them to SciVal, then you could use that as your benchmark. So sorry, not a very simple answer. The Scopus is very slow to load this paper for some reason. I was going to show you collaboration, which is all about collaboration. We're in the process of designing collaboration to have more information, but it's quite simple. For PSU, right, we select your university and you have some filters, if you want to look at collaboration in a particular area or, with a particular sector. But overall, we see that PSU collaborates most with Chiang Mai, 465 papers, cited a little bit less than world average. You can see the number of papers always and the field-weighted citation impact. You can, if you wanted to know who you collaborated with in Europe, you can see you collaborate with CNRS and Imperial College, University of Amsterdam, that's where I studied. So you can see 52 papers collaborated with University of Amsterdam that were cited 72% more than world average. If I click on that, it will show me, PSU has an impact of 11% less than world average, and University of Amsterdam 2.1. And when you work together, actually, the papers that you produce together, the impact is 1.72. And you can always click through to the paper, so you can see it's these papers here. And if you want to know who it is, we can go to current co-authors, and we see it's these people here are working with these people at Amsterdam, and specifically it's Chicha Charun Plai works with these people at the University of Amsterdam, producing these 36 papers. So it gives you quite a lot of insight into who's working with who on which papers and how highly cited are they. A lot of this is related to medicine. Yeah, you can see who's not working together yet. So potential co-authors just means that these people don't work with these people. You can use a subject filter. So if you wanted to know how much do you collaborate in social sciences in Europe. Now I will take off the country filter and say, all right, in social sciences, you collaborate with Walilak University, 10 papers, highly cited, that's nice. And Narswan University, also highly cited. So if you wanted to know who, what's that about, again, you can click on this and see the papers to get a sense of it. So SciVal is transparent. You always can click through in most cases to get to the underlying data. And collaboration is really all about collaboration. If you wonder who does Chiang Mai work with, just click on Chiang Mai, you'll be able to see who they work with, So who does Chiang Mai work with in social sciences? And you can see they work with Duke University, really highly cited, 21 papers. So you might wonder, hey, should we be working with Duke University? What's that? What's that about? Who's involved? You can see it's these two people at Chiang Mai working with these people at Duke University. So it's intelligence. It's there for you to. It might be interesting. It might not. So I think your challenge is to think what is interesting for the people that at Prince of Songkla, for Deputy Dean or dean of research, whoever you are, whoever you are providing information to think about which aspects of SciVal can help them in their decision making, to find where it is and then find out how to provide that in a useful way. So we can work on other trainings if it helps. Corporate. So if I take off the so here we see Chiang Mai University works with PTT and these companies. So that's interesting, right? Or if we want to look at Chula, who in industry is Chula working together with, right? And the same for you. Sorry, that's the filter. You can see, you know, if you want to know which medical institutions you work with, you do that like that, right? Now, if you wanted to look at the research of any of these specifically, you can always, you know, if you say, I don't really know much about this hospital, you can always you could always go back to just type in the name, and we even put the Thai. We added some Thai naming. If it's incorrect, tell us. But yeah, you know, you'll find information around the way along the way that you can dig into. But with that, I think I've spoken a long time. I've shown you all of the 4 modules. It's a lot of information. Don't forget about reporting. You can always add to reporting, access your report. You can share it either as a PDF or you can export it all to Excel. However you want to do it, there's not one right way. And I'm here to support you along the way with whatever information and trainings you need. So I'll just stop. Any questions that you have, I'm happy to try and answer.
ไม่ทราบมีใครมีคำถามไหมคะเดี๋ยวถามกันได้เลยนะคะหรือมีปัญหาอะไรตั้งแต่ทำมาอะไรอย่างเงี้ยค่ะมีบางท่านส่งมาบอกในแชทบ้างแล้วนะคะถามภาษาไทยได้นะคะภาษาอังกฤษได้ค่ะได้หมดเลย
คำถามครับ I have a question.
Hello.
เชิญค่ะอาจารย์
Some the researchers change a surname and then they cannot detect from the SciVal data the researcher before used are not use the old surname and they have a new surname, so now it's split to the researcher. So how can we do? Actually, it's only one person.
There's 2 ways you could do it. So if it's incorrect in SciVal, it means we need to make a change in SciVal. So you can we can at any point create a researcher, right? And if you add another field, you can add name variant here. So here you can search for 2 last names, right? You can search for the current name and the maiden name here. And then if it finds 2 profiles, you can select both of them. And then they will be combined into one person. Then once that's been done here, we import them into the correct place, you know, the correct department and faculty in the structure that we've created. So if you're aware of anyone that is incomplete because of this, they have 2 profiles, that's one way to do it. And this is the quickest way because it will be instantly available in SciVal. The other way to do it is in Scopus, and Scopus is still stuck with me. If it's actually really good for every researcher to know their author profile in Scopus and to make sure that it's correct and complete. So if you type in, if the researcher themselves can go into Scopus and find their profile, right? So let me pretend that I'm Richard Ruenkov. He's my professor at the University of Amsterdam. So I'm Richard, and this is my profile, and I say, oh, there's something wrong. I'm missing papers, or some of these papers are not mine, whatever it is, or my name is spelled wrong, whatever it is. I can press here, edit profile, and it's going to bring me into this kind of wizard here, where I can remove papers, right? If I say that one is not mine, but if I scroll down, are any documents missing? Okay, yes, they were written when my name was not Richard Riderinkov, but the name that I had before. You can simply search for the documents using the titles, right? So and then it's like, oh yeah, here are my missing papers. I'm going to select that one, right? And it's going to ask me, yeah, so I mean, if this was really my paper, I'd have to select, right? I say, oh yeah, my name used to be my name used to be Lizette, but now I'm Richard Riderinkov. Yeah, I want that document added to Scopus. I'm going to go to review change, and I can do things like change my preferred name, and I can change preferred. This is just what it displays in Scopus. It doesn't change the underlying data in Scopus or SciVal. It's just what it's displayed. But the most important part is removing documents that are not yours, adding papers that are missing for whatever reason, name change, any reason that it's not there. Then review the change and submit request. I'm not going to submit it because this is a very incorrect request, but it will give you a tracking number, and it will send you an email saying that it's in process. I think it takes like 3 or 4 days, and then it will be fixed in Scopus. Scopus data takes about 2 weeks to get to SciVal. Yeah, so any changes you make in Scopus take 2 weeks to get into SciVal. That's why if you want it instantly, very important that it's included in SciVal now, then do it in SciVal, but it might be a little bit more work. But any changes that you make in SciVal, it will actually also make a change in Scopus. So whatever makes sense for you. In SciVal, again, the place to do it is anytime you're here, you can add new, define new researcher. You can add another field, which would be add name variant, right? So here, if I put married name, and here like then it's going to search for both. And then when you find the two profiles, you select both of them. And when you then press next, it says, do you want me to combine this into one profile? You say yes, and it warns you. It says, I'm going to make changes in Scopus. You say, great, no problem. And you do it. And then that profile will be created in SciVal and in Scopus. Then Apina needs to take that profile and to put it into the right place into the department or faculty. Does that answer your question?
Oh, okay. Let me try. If you have a question, let you your team is no, and then let me try about this one to change my name and involve to the Scopus. Okay, thank you.
Okay, you're welcome.
Alexander, a participant has asked of the Q1, Q2. How do you differentiate? You separate Q1 and Q2 papers?
They are journal quartiles, right? So if we go to Prince of Songkla and look at journal quartiles, Q1 are the 25% highest quality journals. Q2 is 26 to 50%, so the second highest quarter of journals. Q2 is the third tier from 51% to 75%. It is looking at the quality of journals based on citation metric. You have 3 different journal metrics. One is called cite score, the other is called SNP, and the other is called SJR. A quartile is simply created by ranking journals from the best to the worst, and then the top 25% is quartile 1, the second is quartile 2, and so forth. To give a bit more transparency, if I go to Scopus and I go to sources, here in Scopus we see many different journals, and each one of them, so if I pick Nature Reviews and Materials, each one has 3 journal metrics: cite score, SJR, and SNP. And you can see that the cite score of this journal is 115.7, and that means it ranks, it's the #1 journal out of 292 journals in materials chemistry. So that's what the quartiles are based on, is ranking journals according to either cite score, SJR, or SNP. The 3 of them are slightly different ways of doing it. If you're not sure which one to use, please ask your boss, or find out who, each university, each country has a preference for which journal metric they use. And I understand in Thailand, recently, some of the government bodies have been using cite score. So maybe you want to use cite score. I know that some other universities are still using SJR. That's fine, but I think you want to look at which one is your university using, and then simply select the correct one here in your menu. All right, so if it's SJR, you pick SJR. I hope that answers the question. The journal metrics are quite complex, but ultimately they represent the quality of the journal based on citations. And there's just different ways to do it. So cite score, SNP, and SJR are like 3 slightly different ways of doing that calculation to look at which journals are most highly cited. But generally, quartile 1 journals are the most highly cited journals. Quartile 2 are less cited, 3 less cited than that, and 4th are the least cited journals, generally speaking.
And this is the quartile here is for Scopus, right?
Yes.
It will be different to Web of Science.
It's not Web of Science, no. So this is, again, these 3 metrics, cite score, SNP, and SJR, are only based on Scopus. It's not journal impact factor from Web of Science.
อันนี้เป็น quartile ที่ based on Scopus นะคะไม่ใช่ Q1 Q2 เวลาเราพูดถึง Web of Science นั่นก็คือจะเป็นอีกอันหนึ่งซึ่งปัจจุบัน Web of Science เราไม่ได้ subscribe แล้วนะคะโอไม่ได้ซื้อแล้วเพราะฉะนั้นเราต้องไปใช้วิธีเช็คจากอะไรนะคะน้องขวัญเรียกว่าอะไรนะ JCR ค่ะในนี้ quartile ที่เรากำลังพูดถึงนี่คือ quartile ใน Scopus นะคะไม่ใช่ Web of Science
มีคำถามนิดหนึ่ง JCR เนี่ยมันมีหลายควอไทล์ในการแยกนะครับเราเอาควอไทล์ตัวไหนมันมีแบบว่า citation publication มีรู้สึกมี4แบบ
Journal Impact Factor ค่ะ เพราะว่ามันคือการจัดอันดับของวารสารค่ะ
รู้สึก Impact Factor ก็แบ่งออกเป็นย่อยๆอีกครับ
ก็คือถ้าเกิดขอรับเงินรางวัลนะคะจะให้ควอไทล์ที่ดีที่สุดค่ะ
เดี๋ยวนะแป๊บนึงมันแบ่งออกเป็นอันนี้น่าจะเกี่ยวกับหรือว่าค่อยถามนอกรอบกันไหมเกี่ยวกับ
มันเป็นไอ้นั่นคาราเวน
คนละตัวใช่ไหมพอเข้าไปดูแล้วออนไหนกันแน่เนี่ยมันเป็น
กรค่ะหลังไหมก็ได้ค่ะอาจารย์
มีคำถามอื่นอีกไหมคะ
I Any more questions?
Maybe not
อาจารย์คะแล้วของ
ค่ะ
อาจารย์เหมือนในเคสกรณีของอาจารย์อภิรดีอะคะ
ค่ะ
เราจะดึง
เนี่ย
แก้ไขข้อ
อย่างนี้เราทำอย่างนี้ดีกว่านะคะก็คืออย่างนี้ค่ะเหมือนที่เราพูดตั้งแต่ต้นก็คือว่าให้คณะเนี่ยค่ะช่วยเช็คนิดนึงค่ะว่าชื่อ researcher ของคณะ1ถูกต้องหรือไม่นะคะโครงสร้างคณะถูกต้องหรือไม่2ชื่อไหนขาดก็แจ้งเรามาที่เรานะคะแจ้งที่คุณอภิญญาอย่างนี้ดีกว่านะคะมันจะได้เป็นหนึ่งเดียวกันทั้งหมดนะคะเพราะฉะนั้นทุกอย่างจะได้รวมกันอยู่ที่สำนักวิจัยทีเดียวทั้งปรับ watch ทั้งอะไรก็จะแก้ไปทีเดียวด้วยกันทั้งหมดนะคะเราทำกันอย่างนี้ดีกว่านะคะแล้วก็อันนี้เป็นเรื่องแรกเนาะฝากกันบ้านให้คณะนะคะเช็ครายชื่อนักวิจัยในคณะว่าถูกหรือไม่ขาดใครหรือไม่นะคะเช็คไปถึงระดับถ้าเกิดมี division ก็เช็คไปถึง division ด้วย department ด้วยนะคะแล้วก็สะกดถูกไหมอันนี้อาจจะต้องช่วยกันดูนิดนึงค่ะว่าเพราะเราก็ไม่รู้จริงๆเราก็จะเอามาจากที่เรามีของทางกองนโยบายนะคะซึ่งมันก็จะเป็นชื่อจริงของอาจารย์ที่เป็นภาษาอังกฤษนะซึ่งไม่แน่ใจมันอาจจะไม่ตรงกันก็ได้กับที่เราตีพิมพ์นะคะอันนี้เรื่องแรกนะคะเรื่องที่2ก็คือว่าถ้าเกิดมีคณะไหนอยากจะให้มีการอบรมเพิ่มเติมค่ะคือเข้าใจเลยวันนี้สำหรับคนโดยเฉพาะคนที่ยังไม่เคยใช้นะคะมันจะงงมากเพราะว่ามันจะเยอะนะคะซึ่งเราก็ได้อัดวิดีโอท่านสามารถไปรีเพลย์ดูซ้ำได้นะคะอย่างไรก็ตามถ้าเกิดว่าเราต้องการที่จะให้มีการอบรมภายในคณะเราคือเอาเฉพาะคณะเราเลยเนี่ยนะคะจะได้เห็นภาพของคณะจริงๆเนี่ยนะคะสามารถแจ้งมาได้เลยเดี๋ยวเราจะได้นัดทางคุณอเล็กซานเดอร์ให้ว่าเราจะมาอบรมกันอีกครั้งวันไหนให้กับคณะนะคะอันนี้ก็แจ้งมาทางคุณอภิญญาได้เลยนะคะมีเอกสารอบรมไหมเอาสไลด์จะเอาสไลด์ของคุณอเล็กซานเดอร์ไหมคะหรือว่ายังไงเท่าที่เรามีก็จะมีแค่สไลด์ของท่านวิทยากรนะคะไม่ทราบทุกท่านโอเคเดี๋ยวAlexander the participants would like to have your slides is it okay if we share
Of
your
course,
slide
yes, they can have the slides, and I guess you can share the recording in case they want to rewind and look for certain things.
yes Apinya will share the recording today to the participants.
I'll send you the slides in the afternoon.
Okay, thank you. เดี๋ยวเราจะแชร์ให้ทั้ง record วันนี้นะคะแล้วก็สไลด์ของวิทยากรไปให้ทางอีเมลอีกครั้งหนึ่งนะคะไม่ทราบมีใครมีคำถามอีกไหมคะเราจบ จะจบได้นะวันนี้
พอดีว่ามี
อะไรไหม
ในแชทอะค่ะน่าจะเป็นพี่บีบอกว่าช่วยให้ขวัญช่วยเปิดให้สักนิดว่าคณะจะตรวจสอบตรงไหนเดี๋ยวถ้าอย่างนั้นเดี๋ยวขวัญจะ export ข้อมูลจากในนี้ทั้งหมดแล้วก็เดี๋ยวให้ทุกท่านส่งเป็น Excel แล้วกันนะคะเพื่อความสะดวกในการตรวจสอบค่ะแล้วก็รบกวนทุกท่านก็คือดูคณะของตัวเองแล้วจะแก้ไขยังไงหรือค่ะก็คือให้ส่งกลับมาที่ขวัญได้เลยนะคะค่ะเดี๋ยวข้อมูลนะคะเดี๋ยวขวัญจะส่งให้ช่วงบ่ายนะคะแล้วก็เจ้าหน้าที่คณะหน่วยงานเนี่ยค่ะก็คือรบกวนแก้ไขแล้วก็แจ้งขวัญกลับมานะคะขอบคุณค่ะ
Okay Alexander I think we are done today we don't have any question
Okay Yes, I wish you all the best of luck getting to know SciVal. I think like most things in life, it's not that hard once you have a little bit of practice. And anything I can do to help you, let me know. Right, we can follow up discussions and.
Okay, thank you very much for your training today, and I will let you know if there is any more training asked from the faculties. Okay.
Sure. All right. Okay. Have a good day from Singapore. I'm going to find some lunch.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, take care, everyone.
ขอบคุณทุกท่านค่ะสวัสดีค่ะ